Hey everyone, I was hoping to get this message put together sooner, but things like this unfortunately take time to set up. I just want to say that the acts of war against Ukraine break my heart, and I know as a prior service member myself that my thoughts and prayers go out to everyone who's fighting the fight that they really shouldn't have to. That being said, we have been working behind the scenes with all of our podcasts and podcast partners to put a fund together in order to pay for any refugee housing and other needs that go alongside that, like food, water, and any clothing needs. Internally, many podcasts in the Hospitality FM network have voluntarily given up sponsorship money in order to donate to the cause and are working on a unified message in order to spread throughout all of our podcasts. So this is me calling out to all of our property manager friends, industry experts, and anyone knowing of those providing lodging for Ukrainian refugees seeking safety. You can contact me directly at will with one L, W-I-L, at slicktalkmedia.com. We have an internal document that is being updated in real time. So if anyone could share this message within your network, we'd greatly appreciate it. I'm also placing in the show notes a link to our GoFundMe and landing page for Rentals to Rescue. That's rentalstorescue.com, where we're putting funds together in order to, again, provide finances for any of these lodging and relocation needs. So thank you so much for tuning into this quick message. I hope you guys are all well and safe, as I know we have tons of listeners in Ukraine and other countries in Europe. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you guys enjoy this episode. Good morning.
Good morning.
Happy Fake Monday.
There's something about the days of the week that we just like. Monday, now Tuesday.
Yeah. What we're saying morning for me, it's afternoon. We're saying Monday, it's a complete different day. It's like It's confusing.
Yeah, but we got to keep it consistent for the people.
I'm in a different location. I'm a different spot. This is like, okay. Try to focus now and just be sharp on this important podcast because it's a special one, right? This one.
It's a very special podcast today. Very excited. But first, before we get to the exciting news and announcements, how was your guys' 4th of July? Good? Fun?
Yeah, it was cool? Awesome. I don't know if Michael knows what the 4th of July is.
We don't celebrate it here. I know it's a day before 5th and day after 3rd, but no, we don't celebrate it. We don't celebrate it here.
Yeah, went up to my folks' house and went off to their club, and there was an air show. This guy was just like doing crazy wild tricks, and turns out he was 80 years old doing all of that stuff too. So wow. It made it that much more impressive because I've ridden in the car with my 80-plus-year-old grandpa, and that's scary enough, much less this guy like barrel rolling a plane 20 feet off of the ground and doing, straight verticals or straight declines. It was pretty nuts.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't feel very safe knowing 80-something-year-old person is up in the sky flying. But hey, more power to you. That's awesome.
Well, we have something similar, but we do it on the 5th of May. So we have an Independence Day as well. But it was 2 months ago. I was celebrating as well. What? Sorry?
Your Orange Day, or are you talking about Poland?
No, the Orange Day is the end of April. I think it's now, I'm always mixing because it's changed because it was Queen's Day, now it's King's Day. I think it's on the 27th of April. But on the 5th of May, we have Independence Day as well.
Okay. So you're just a little early. No big deal.
Then we're celebrating as well. One day before is, of course, Memorial. The 5th is like party time, normally.
Awesome. Yeah, well, it's definitely party time here on 4th of July. So always a good time. It's my favorite holiday, actually, compared to anything else. Christmas is great, New Year's is great, but man, nothing beats a good 4th of July. So favorite good weekend. But this episode I'm really excited about because we kind of joked about it a little bit in the past with like Skift and other sponsors and whatnot. But we get to announce that we officially have a show sponsor for the next couple weeks coming up. So you guys ready for the big the showcase of who we're going to be sponsored by?
What's up, Breezeway?
Breezeway, baby. So welcome Breezeway for being our show sponsor for the next couple of weeks. We're really excited to have you. And for our audience who's listening and watching, we have a quick little video for you so we can introduce who Breezeway is and what they do. So we'll do that, and then we'll go right into what's with the noise. You guys sound good with that?
Let's do it.
Perfect. All right, welcome, and now meet Breezeway.
Meet Breezeway, the leading platform for property care and cleaning operations. Built to coordinate, communicate, and verify all the work done at each property so you can deliver a better experience to guests and owners. Breezeway syncs your property data and reservations into one user-friendly dashboard, taking the guesswork out of scheduling jobs to the right person at the right time. Teams in the field use mobile checklists to get their work done, letting you monitor issues and progress in real time, giving you confidence that every job is done right and every property is clean, well-maintained, and ready. Smart tools to make complex work much easier. Best of all, Breezeway integrates with dozens of PMS systems and IoT devices, so you can optimize your property service programs without switching the systems you already use. Nice. Breezeway has an entire messaging platform too, for texting automated service updates, communicating with guests and residents, and offering additional services like extended stays. Delivering quality property care and service is challenging. Breezeway has you covered each step of the way with tools like detailed owner reporting, safety inspections, and inventory tracking. You'll drive more service revenue, save thousands on operation costs, and boost client satisfaction. It's time to power your property care with Breezeway. Go to breezeway.io to learn more.
Hello. This week's What's with the Noise is an exciting one because it's a good friend of mine, Pierre from Transparent, announced their funding round coming from JetBlue Ventures. So congrats to you, Pierre and Alex and the rest of the team. We love what you're doing. You guys have been at the forefront of data in the short-term rental space for a long time now. And we're excited to see what you guys can do with this most recent funding round.
Awesome. Well, that was quite the exciting What's with the Noise today. Do we know any details?
Come on, he's even taking the startup of the week. It was my fault this time. I didn't came. But it's, congrats on Transparent with being the startup of the week.
Yeah,
I was looking for the amount, but I couldn't find it. So if somebody from Transparent is listening, please share with us because I was curious. And
it said it brought their total funding to 2.3 million, but it definitely doesn't mean that was this round or anything like that. But
JetBlue is a nice fund. I spoke with them a few times. Also, it was at one of my last travels. They did 1.5 years ago in Silicon Valley, actually during Plug and Play, where we just attended as well with Bidroom. Well, it's a nice fund. So it's cool that like airlines investing as well in startups, not only in their same space, but also in different spaces like now in vacation rental. So
yeah, and wasn't JetBlue a little active on other vacation rental stuff? That maybe you could even
do some, because I had a call with them even I think a half year ago, maybe longer. And actually, they're one of the folks. What they mentioned to me, I don't know if I can mention it in here, but what they told me is like they're really looking into vacation rental investment. So it isn't something an angle they're looking into, which is interesting if you're an airline in a completely different space, that you're investing actually in different space, which I really appreciate and what I think is really good as well.
Yeah, and you have to imagine the Transparent investment is probably a pretty strategic one for them, and that now they have access to all the latest data as well, and who's doing what and who's actually performing well. And you have to think there's probably some part of the funding that is tied in with data sharing. So it's a win-win for both sides for sure, and definitely good to see airlines. I wish it was Delta, but JetBlue. It's good to see. Got to pave the way.
I was gonna say,
is Delta investing a bit? I don't see them. Did they do some investments or not really? Right?
Not that I know of. I don't They might have a fund specific to airlines, but
Not really. Yeah.
I've heard of anything.
I was gonna say we should probably get Pierre on the show then, because I think data is a key thing that we should all be watching. That'd be fun. And I've actually never used or heard of Transparent actually until this episode. So no offense if Pierre is listening right now, but I think it would be really cool to dive into. It'd be a fun one that we can all geek out on. Maybe the listeners would like it. Who knows?
Yeah.
So
here's a really, really smart guy, fluent in like 15 languages. I made that number up, probably like 4 or 5. But awesome guy, and they have great data, and I think it'd be valuable to bring him on.
Sweet. Well, speaking of, I guess, data, overall information, this episode we're kind of doing a year in review again because we did it early on in the beginning of the year. But now really looking at what's happened, what's happening, and how is this going to affect the future, not in the next 6 months or 12 months, but really the next 10 years, 15, 20 years, 2030 to be example, which is one that Mr. Ross brought up in our little chat. So I think it'd be great to just start off. Well, one, just want to say, to go back to the sponsor of Breezeway, thank you, Breezeway. You guys are awesome. And all the listeners, we have a link, breezeway.io/GMH. You'll see it on the screen. So go ahead and check it out. But I think it's really cool to get your guys' opinion on, because you guys are both on the tech space for both hotel and vacation rentals. And I think this is going to be a big, big shift for what 2030 looks like even. So I want to get your thoughts, opening thoughts on whether it's just from the review of what's currently happened and how this is going to affect, that far in the advance. Like, it's pretty hard for us to predict. But our predictions have actually come pretty dang close. We're usually just off by timing. So 2030 could be 2033. And then all of a sudden, everything we said on the show 13 years before.
I think first of all, we should already plan a reunion. So in 2030, make sure we're going to do it again. So maybe you both have a beard and mine is finally, we have a sponsor now. So probably I can shave myself and go to hairdresser.
I can assure you I won't have a beard. That I can make one prediction I know will be true.
Okay.
And that's also the thing about predictions for 6 months to a year out. You often have a good idea of where things are going. But if we're looking at 10 years out, I love talking about this topic because I typically have a very contrarian view. So I'm going to hold my thoughts to last, and let's hear from you two on what does a vacation rental and a hotel look like in 2030.
I think for sure, we discussed it before. I think the whole monetization will change a lot, and not really thinking about price per night. I think they should change completely. We talked before into
to subscription.
First of all, I think subscriptions could take a bigger chunk. Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
That you have X numbers of rooms included, or maybe more into the paid loyalty. For sure, I believe this in it a lot. I think also the way of day use and using the same room multiple times per day when it's more flexibility there, I think it's super important. And I think this is all connected to technology. And I think that's what you see. And we mentioned, I think, before Lifehouse and et cetera. I think hotel chains, there might be some new ones popping up. They're more moving into technology-driven instead of marketing or sales-driven. So I think this will be changing a bit as well. I think it makes a lot of sense, right? It's not all. I think this data is more important and take those learnings and improvements and do things more smart than just branding only. So I think this will make a shift. I think that there will be the way hotels operate and vacation rental operates might be more closer to each other. So hotel will more become vacation rental, and I think the vacation rental become more kind of service orientated like hotels are doing. So for sure using great software and tooling like Breezeway or Noiseware, etc. So this I think is also, to mention Breezeway, I can do them a few more times this episode if needed. But I think this is also what the vacation rental needs more to make it more professional. And I think then you're moving, and I think the end sometimes you're just taking a vacation rental or a hotel, but it's the experience become closer to each other, and the one have a bit more maybe different kind of features or more amenities or facilities. Mm-hmm. But the experience might be more closer to each other. Now there's a huge difference between two of them, which make it for the people who get used to hotels really kind of scared to stay in a vacation rental.
Yeah. Well, I'll agree with you on a lot of that, because having a conversation with Richard from Muse, one of the founders, recently and on Slick Talk, talking about the way that the guest profile in general changes with property management software versus properties and brands. How it's, you stay at one property, whether it's in, let's say, Washington State, your profile, no matter if you stay at any property that's owned by the same group, your profile follows you with. So no matter what, you have that history that kind of goes with. And I think we're going to shift that way for vacation rentals and hotels by 2030. Being that unique boutique, soft brand or big brand is going to be very well blended. I think we're going to have obviously a lot of consolidation. Marriott's and all these other big brands are going to buy up a lot of things, but I think this is going to be the big rise of that tech shift. So hopefully we see like the predictability of a guest profile, be better. So when you show up, your favorite music is playing, like Michael said earlier, and how your thermostat adjusts to your favorite, degree setting when you walk in, whether it's 68 or 72 or whatever. I think that personalized touch in advance with tech compared to the human, aspect and labor costs that go behind it will be huge. And then the experience brands. So that's kind of where I've actually kind of been battling with, experience brands versus like an Oasis Passport feel for someone to really just subscribe to a living type accommodation and travel. I think that's going to be a huge part, and that vacation rental hotel inventory is going to blend a little bit more than we expected. That's kind of my very vague prediction / thoughts into it. But
these aren't terribly bold predictions, guys. I know I can't be a contrarian for these thoughts and views, but where I've done a number of these conversations before in other forums, and a lot of people will take the approach of like everything is so tech forward. Alexa's in every room that you just ask for, whatever, and everything is your favorite channel is on the TV, your whatever. It's so tech forward. Even like housekeeping is a machine comes out from under the bed and makes the bed and changes the linens. Like, these.
I have already one of them. Yeah.
I would say, I actually, not going to lie, there's someone on LinkedIn who is called EV Human, and they got a robot that's a housekeeper, and they're like trained.
Yeah, maybe they can sponsor, and they're giving us those machines, and we mention them 5 times in the episode. So we can also do those kind of deals. I don't have to be always cash, but if they want to sponsor some products or stuff, feel free.
So that's where most of the conversations I've heard or been a part of go, which is like just crazy, super tech at every corner of the room. Mm-hmm. But in 10 years, I mean, we're already starting to see kind of a revolt against technology in some capacities. Every hotel that I've known or seen roll out Alexa or Google into their rooms have yanked them out.
Yeah.
Because people don't like them. They all carry one of these around that they can very easily ask the same questions to, and it's their device, not something else. So, Michael, I totally agree with you. I think all of the technology is going to be more towards the operational side, making it more like Lifehouse, where there's more tech, fewer employees necessary. And quite frankly, Lifehouse is more like a short-term rental, how short-term rental operators run their units.
Yeah.
The contrarian view I often take is I don't think there's going to be so much tech for guests. I think guests use it as a reprieve, particularly leisure guests, to get away from technology instead of be introduced to even more technology. There's nothing worse than walking into a rental and you've got one of these things that has like 4 different remotes and it says, turn the white one on and then go to the big black one and press these 3 buttons and then go to the small black one and press these 3 buttons. Like, more tech is not always a good thing. Like, I don't care about surround sound when I'm on vacation. I'm often not watching much TV at all. And if I am, it's just a game in the background while we're cooking out or something.
Yeah.
So I really think that, shout out to Breezeway, the behind the scenes tech is going to be more important, and I think hotels are realizing how important technology is in an era where staff is short.
Well, this is, sorry, I don't mean to cut you off, but like the thing that I've been preaching from day one, even as a hotel manager when I was on the grounds with my team, was that we had so many manual lists and tasks to do, and our housekeepers had so many times did I get calls down to the front desk or calls down to their housekeeping managers saying, hey, is this room vacant, dirty? Is this room this? Is this room that? Like, they had nothing updated on their, it was all paper and pencil. So getting the ability
to keep phoning each other, is this one clean? Because the one I should was not clean. Then so you had you go to 519, you're arriving there, and there was the cleaner. Then no, this one, it was just on list and phoning, and they have 700 properties on 700 properties here on this park, and it is the whole group of parks consists 50 parks. So it's crazy that those things are just kind of done manually.
Yeah. And then even the front desk is doing, 3 different, reports throughout a shift that all are manually labored, and they're verifying OTA reservations and direct reservations and phone call reservations. And it just is pointless manual stuff that they're wasting so much time, that tools like Breezeway, tools like a good PMS like Muse or whatever PMS you want to talk about. That's where, taking up that amount of time that's wasted, where the humans can really focus on human experiences. Yeah, you may have less staff, but you don't need as many staff, and they can all just float around and be real guest experience ambassadors or brand ambassadors, whatever you want to call them, where they're actually focusing on hospitality versus, manually checking a checklist every 5 minutes, because the whole world might collapse if they don't. So I think, you guys are pretty correct. But you don't have any, Michael, you don't have any, and when I say Michael, I mean Golden, sorry. You don't have any crazy predictions for 2030 at all? Like anything, like whether it's hotel or vacation rental?
We've talked about this on the show many times, but I would love to have company-based subscription where it's with Delta, and anytime I hop on a flight, Delta really needs to sponsor the show. I'm going to reach out to them. I'll hop on a flight, as some level of subscription member, and it's X number of flights a month or a year or whatever, and I can show up and walk into a Marriott or a short-term rental and go straight to my room. Don't have to check in, use my phone to get in. And, a lot of times I'm heading to Ireland in a few weeks, and the last thing I want to do when I land after being on a flight for, 10, 15 hours is go stand in line at a lobby and then them say my room's not ready. It's just a bad experience. And then you drop your bags and you desperately need a shower and 6 coffees, but you don't want to drink coffee because you want to go take an hour nap.
Yeah.
So it just needs to be a more seamless, connected trip. And I think Michael wants to talk about this connected trip.
I think it's really important, this is integration part, right? And again, you mentioned Muse or Breezeway. They're really into focusing on integrations and making it seamless to integrate. And I think that's really crucial. And again, there's so much technology out there, but the integration with each other, it's often a disaster, right? And again, if you're taking a flight and you need an Uber late and you want to check into your hotel, this is all information which can be connected, right? You go into your flight, you know when the flight is landed. Then at the same time, an Uber can be booked and make sure they're waiting for you outside. And as soon as you're entering the Uber, the hotel could be informed that Mike was on his way to the hotel, and make sure that he's already checked in, as soon he's arriving, because I know when he arrives. So those things, there's a lot of information available, data available. Often is the integration part, right? And that's also what we had before. It's like integrating, even though with a PMS or channel manager or whatever, it's a disaster. They're all using not really great APIs, and I think that's why Muse, for example, is doing really well, because they're focusing fully on this API kind of economy and integrations, and Breezeway the same. I don't know if I mentioned them already, but Breezeway is doing the same with integrations, and I think that's why
Breezeway,
Breezeway,
.io.
.io. But but I think that's super important, the whole integration part, and that if the companies doing this well, I think they can become successful in 2030. If they don't do, they will not exist in 2030. But what are you both doing? You think in 2000? I'm just thinking, what are you both doing in 9 years from now?
Well, I was gonna say from the Uber aspect, because like when I was on that 2-week travel trip, that was the one thing I did. Actually, I did a tweet even. I was like, man, Uber should have the ability to put in your flight number and schedule an Uber pickup for the the flight's arrival. So like if my flight lands at 11:45, it takes about 15, maybe 10 minutes to get off the plane because everyone stands up and it's a whole cluster to get out. But once you get off the plane, I would love to have that ability that my Uber tracked my flight, and like that integration, that seamless connectivity part is really
well. To
really
know
key.
your destination already, so you don't have to enter again the hotel because I know where you have to go. So it makes it all seamless. And the same by even going back, for example. Then you have a flight on your return flight is in 4 days, and this is the time. So we just pre-schedule for you an Uber, even with one click. So
I agree.
Maybe they should listen and just pay us for some consultancy or sponsor.
Yeah, let's get them a sponsor.
Yeah, Uber is really easy to land. I think I can get that tonight.
We rejected their offer, right? The sponsor, we rejected them, right? Already.
Yeah,
2 times.
yeah, just like a few others.
Yeah. Okay.
Golden, what were you going to add anything to that before I rudely cut you off?
Yeah, I was going to say that Dara came from Expedia, so he should know about this whole connected trip. So it should be an easy sell, Will. I think you can easily.
All right. Yeah, perfect. No, that's great. I do have, I don't know. I see that the more the US opens up specifically, I'm concerned. Well, obviously I know we're all going through a little bit of a labor shortage on the provider side, whether it's housekeeping, maintenance, front desk, you name it. What do you guys think in the sense of, let's say labor pools go back up, people are employed, rates are maybe staying the same, travel still booming, everything's good. What are your thoughts on that? Hotels or vacation rentals or whatever type of accommodation kind of goes backwards in the sense of 2019, 2018, where they just all right, well, we don't need to innovate anymore. We don't need to adjust. We don't need to update tech because we're doing okay. We're making record numbers. So why would we do that? And that's kind of the same mindset that they've had the last 20 years, right? I remember my last hotel owner being like, this is how we've done it for 20 years. This is how we're going to do it. And the industry is never going to change. And here we are.
Yeah.
Well, maybe the shortage could actually result in technology, right? If you're looking for people, for example, in your restaurant, you can't find people. You might replace, we can't find people. So just adding some iPads or QR codes or whatever on the room so they can order by themselves on the tablet or on their own phone by using a QR. So it also could actually accelerate technology because you don't have people who could just serve people in your restaurant, or you don't have people in the front office. So you just might say, maybe we have to invest in self-check-in. So I think the shortage of people maybe result into using technology.
Yeah, and our last guest was from Aperto, and Steve is basically allowing a lot of these front desks to go virtual and check in with an iPad and get your key printed out or your code and go to the room. Yeah, I think that trend is here to stay. And I agree, Will. I think hotels are going to kind of slide backwards into the path of least resistance. Mm-hmm. But a lot of these big hotel firms or firms run by our generation is going to look at what happened and say, there's probably a good chance that's going to happen again in our lifetime. And how do we mitigate risk and mitigate risk through technology? So I think we're going to see a little bit of both. And there's going to be clear winners and losers in that. If a brand like Lifehouse can do it with 60% fewer heads, then they're going to make a lot more money for the hotel owners. And then the owners are going to seek out operators like Lifehouse versus traditional operators that use a green screen. So I think we will see a path of least resistance in the short term, but by midterm, you'll see more tech forward firms.
I agree. Yeah, I think Lifehouse, and I know we've mentioned them a lot, but I do think they are kind of that spotlight person or company to watch, really. Like they're kind of setting an example and a standard in a different way than most. Like I think we've seen a lot of people try, or like a lot of companies try to do this and then not do it successfully, right? And then so it's always kind of put that thought in everyone's head, like, oh well, you can't really do it very tech
I'll let
forward.
you guys know how it goes. I'm staying in a life house this week in Miami.
Yeah, it must be nice.
That kayak hotel, I'll be staying in it on Thursday.
You should.
If anybody's listening, feel free to upgrade me or
Just send the link of this video to them. Just do it.
I was gonna say you should capture some videos and photos while you're there and send it to us. We'll show it off on the next episode.
All right,
be cool.
Can do.
Sweet, awesome. Well, I think that's pretty good. I don't know if we fully answered the question of 2030. I don't think we'll see flying cars or anything like that. Who knows? Maybe Elon Musk has a hotel in space, but
the first flying car took flight last week.
What?
Yeah.
Seriously?
Yeah, for real. So in 10 years, it's possible.
Shoot.
Should be.
Well, all right. Well, that's good to know. I need to catch up with the times. Great. Well, anything, I know it's usually not a big answer for this one, but anything exciting coming up in both your worlds other than you staying in a kayak life house hotel this week?
Yeah, I think that's pretty exciting. So I don't know what you're doing this week, but I'll be in Miami. So
I'll be here.
I'm looking for the next episode because I think the next episode is also sponsored by Breezeway. So that's already great.
Yeah, that's a great start.
And I asked a question before. I'm still curious. How do you see yourself in 10 years? What are you both doing, right? Is Will presenting on Amazon Prime a daily show about hospitality, or is Michael still at Nowhere, or just bought a castle somewhere in Ireland, or I don't know. Curious. How do you see yourself in 10 years?
Yeah, I think the castle play is going to be the move in 10 years.
Yeah, I'm hoping the same, but maybe not a castle. I'm hoping like maybe a nice villa on the water would be great for me.
Maybe Delta. Maybe Delta hires me too at some point, right? Like
maybe when you post this episode on LinkedIn, whatever, just do some hashtags Delta, whatever. Maybe some of them, add some people, whatever, CEO, marketing, PR, everything you can include.
Bastion, yeah. You know the CEO's name. Come on, Mike.
Awesome. And just because this has been a fun episode, especially with our sponsor Breezeway, we just got to do this one more time. Boom. Love it. So beautiful. Awesome. Well, thank you both, gentlemen, for participating in this week's episode. Thank you again to Breezeway. So all our listeners, you can go to breezeway.io/GMH to learn more about what they do and who they are, and even sign up, get your property and your operations up and running, smooth and functional. We'll see you guys again next week.